we're gonna be talking about how to start your day well, or how to start a good day. So welcome to the Desmond show. In this episode, we're gonna keep it brief. We're gonna talk a little bit about something not so related to wealth, business, or even marketing in general. We're gonna be talking about how to start your day well, or how to start a good day. So one of the things that I do and I pay close attention to is my day structures. Now I know a lot of people probably don't understand or don't even think about how their day is structured, but for me, I try to find optimization points in my day. Now, please understand it in a way. Now, I'm trying to just be more productive. I'm trying to get the best out of every second of my life. And to do that, I understand that there will be certain moments in my life, there will be certain moments in my day where I'm not going to be feeling productive, or I'm going to be consuming caffeine, or I'm going to feel a little bit more tired. So my goal is to structure it with a lot of things in mind, just so that I can be the most productive every single morning, every single afternoon, and every single evening. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to be sharing with you how you can structure your day, or how exactly I'm structuring my day. So you know what you can learn from this particular podcast episode, and maybe you can implement this into your own day as well, because I genuinely think that a lot of people are actually wasting a lot of time. A lot of people are really wasting their days and wasting their life away because they're not being very productive, they're not doing much in their life, or they're just being slow, right? And the way you need to think about why you need to be structuring your day better, or how to have a great day, it's really simple. I want you to just take the average population lifespan, okay, in your city, in your town, and wherever you're from. So let's say you're from a country or a city where your average lifespan is 80 years old, and let's say you're 40 years old right now. That means you have another 40 years left. And if you divide that by 3, okay, because 1/3 of your life you're gonna be spending that sleeping, okay, and then the other third of your life is gonna be basically leisure, pleasure, you on holiday, spending time with family, eating, watching TV, things like that. So you really only have 1/3 of your life left that is productive. So if you're going to pull out my calculator here, I'm going to do some calculation for you. If you're 40 years old, right, assuming that the average lifespan in your town, in your city is 80 years old. So you take 80, you minus 40, which is your current age right now, and that leaves it with 40. If I divide that by 3, that means you spend about 13 years, the upcoming 13 years sleeping. You have 13 years time for leisure, pleasure, traveling, doing things like going to work, going from work, things like that, right? And then you have another 13 years to be productive, to really change the world, to really do something that is impactful. And very few people understand this, and very few people understand the significance of actually planning the day. If you look at people like Elon Musk, for him, he realized that he's not going to live forever, and he wants to use the time that he has on the planet right now, to actually go and make big adjustments and big revolutionary discoveries. And that's why he's known to sleep in his office, right? So I'm not going to go to the extreme of actually sleeping in the office, but what I do is I do move my office from into my home, so I do move my office into home, and I actually, every single place that I've stayed in, every single house that I got, I always make sure that I have a home office. And I think that's very, very important, because it allows me to work just like that instead of procrastinating. Because if you delay work, you're gonna build procrastination patterns into how you think. So what I want to do is I want to use this episode as a way to teach you a few steps, a few things that you can actually implement right now to have a great day tomorrow. Okay, so whenever you're listening to this, jot this down, because it's going to be powerful, and it's going to help you make tomorrow the best day ever for you in a long time. So this is what I'm going to do. So first thing first, before the day begins, I actually make sure that I actually do a preparation the day before. So there's a few things that I do. Number one, I actually draft my to-do list onto my calendar. Now, I know this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but on my calendar, I put in my to-do list, and my life revolves around my calendar. So if my calendar tells me to go to the grocery store, I'm gonna go to the grocery store. If my calendar tells me to watch a Netflix, I'm gonna watch a Netflix, right? My calendar tells me to read 3 books about marketing, I'm gonna be reading 3 books about marketing. So if there's one person that I'm a big I have the one thing that I have the biggest loyalty to, it will be my calendar, because it keeps me on track. It keeps me in time, and more importantly, it keeps me progressing towards where I need to be. So the day before or the night before, I like to actually sit down and actually take about just 5 minutes to 10 minutes and plan out tomorrow, okay, and find out where the empty spaces are gonna be on my calendar, right? And these empty spaces is gonna help me identify how much time I'm wasting and what are the leisure things that I can do. I think it's very normal for a human to want to watch the latest episode of, let's say, something that you're watching, a series that you're watching on Netflix, or you want to maybe turn on the PlayStation and play a couple of games. I think that's very normal. I've met a lot of successful people. While you might think that these people don't have leisure or pleasure, they actually do, right? And they actually plan it into the calendar, and I do as well. I often plan that into my calendar, leisure and pleasure stuff. But I also actually, what I like to do is that I also like to include reading times. I like to include book browsing times, because I don't read all books. I actually go to Amazon and try to find out what are the books that are worth my time to read, things like that. And I also make sure that, if I'm eating anything, let's say really that's going to affect my digestive system, or it's going to affect me tomorrow, I actually put note to that, and to make sure that I'm not eating too much today, so that tomorrow I'm going to feel great. Okay, so things like that, right? I actually prepare tomorrow before tomorrow happens. So what I do is I prepare my calendar, prepare my to-do list, set up reminders, the way I do reminders is just really simple, things like calendar alerts. I also do post-it notes. I'm a big fan of post-it notes. If there's one person that buys a lot of post-it notes, that's gonna be me. And that's what I do, and I set my wake up time as well. Now, one very important thing that I do is I want to make sure I get enough sleep, at least 6 hours of proper sleep. Now, when you sleep for 8 hours, you probably only sleep about 5 to 6 hours of proper sleep. So one thing that I recommend you to do is to track your sleep. You can use accessories like Aura Ring, which is very popular right now. I personally use Fitbit because I use it for workout, I use it for tracking, so I use Fitbit for that. If you have, I think, other software, other accessories, I'm pretty sure they can do the same as well. Just search for sleep tracking online, and you'll find a lot of tools that can help you with that. And I aim to go for 5 hours to 6 hours of proper deep sleep, very important, so that I wake up refreshed, because I want my mind to think well. And when I wake up in the morning, one of the toughest things for me was getting out of bed. Like every single morning when I feel like I want to wake up, it's just so difficult for me to wake up. So one thing that I do when I'm in bed is I reach out to my phone right when the alarms just rings, and I just make sure that I open up my email. And that's when I feel like, oh damn, all the things are coming in, because every morning I get like 20-30 emails from different companies of mine, and people that need my time, people that need my help, things like that. So that would actually allow me to actually wake up and at least bend my body to stretch out, right? I think that's gonna be really important, and that for me is a little win. Now I think the morning, if you win the morning, you're gonna win the entire day. And what I mean by that is, imagine in the morning, if you're able to just wake up, right, and you're able to just go and fold your bed sheets and make your bed, and do what you have to do in the morning, like taking your supplements or taking whatever pills that you have to take. I think that is considered a win, and you don't want to skip those little things, because those things are gonna define a pattern in your mind. If you decided to procrastinate, that's gonna build procrastination pattern into your mind. So what I like to do is, when I wake up in the morning, grab my phone, check the email, and then realize that I got tons of things to do for that day, and I check the calendar, and then I go and brush my teeth. And next thing that I do is, while I'm still feeling extremely exhausted, I feel extremely maybe tired, I just wanted to be in bed all day, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just force myself to just go to the kitchen and make myself a pre-workout, or sometimes what I do is I just do myself 2 shots of espresso, right? And that's what I do. And once the espresso is made, or the pre-workout is actually blended and made, I will actually drink it, and I'm like, oh man, since now my body is ready to work out, I'm having all these like heightened energy. What I do next is I actually go to the gym. I actually drop by the gym I usually keep it below an hour. I know supposedly some people, they do an hour and a half, 2 hours. For me, because I don't have the luxury, because I do have a few things I need to handle during the day, and I want to be as productive as possible, so I actually keep my gym hours like this, about 30 to 45 minutes of weightlifting, weight workout, and then about 15 minutes at most of cardio if I do cardio. If not, I'm just gonna walk home, because my gym is walking distance away, about 10 minutes, and I actually enjoy the walk, and I think the walk really helps me with extra calorie burn, I guess. So that's what I do. And then what I do next is that when I come back, I drink my post workout, which is protein shakes, and sometimes I eat lunch right away, or I'll go through emails, and I will actually sometimes use this time, not every day, but sometimes I don't even open the email until 3 p.m. During days where I have to do a lot of thinking, so coming up with brand new ideas, new ad ideas, or new marketing ideas, or new funnel ideas, or new campaign ideas, or new creative ideas to buy a company, for example. So many times I'll just sit there and with my drawing pad. I often just use my iPad with a notes app open, and I'll just be typing things down, not connected to the internet, and I will just be typing and typing and typing and typing and typing and typing and typing. Sometimes I will just be drawing stuff. Sometimes I want to see more colors, and I feel like my ideas can express themselves a lot better if I draw something out, and I will just draw something out. And once that's done, I would actually go through emails if I have not gone through the emails, and I would actually go and go to lunch first before I put out fires, because I always say that if you're an entrepreneur, you know what I'm talking about. Every single day you gotta put out fires. These fires are either started by your customers, they're started by your clients, they're started by your team, they're started by the environment, they're started by a lot of factors out there. So you gotta learn how to put out fires, and by putting out fires, I'm just really talking about solving problems that you have on a daily basis in your company or in your business. So before I do that, I actually go get a lunch first. I felt like if I don't get lunch and I just try to solve a problem, I'm gonna make really bad decision. And so what I'll do is that when I actually look at certain projects and tasks after lunch that I needed my contribution, or needed my time, or needed my advice, I will rate it between a rating of 1 to 3, just like that. Not 1 to 10, just 1 to 3. 1 being low priority, 2 being middle priority, and 3 being extremely high priority. Okay, so then I will go through the high priority ones, and I will make sure to actually solve those first. Another thing that I do is that I also rank the tasks or the projects or the thing that needed my time. I actually rank it based on how big of a decision that's going to be, or how big the impact of the decision I'm going to make for the particular project. And I ranked it from 1 to 3. So usually if it's 3, it's super important, like my decision is going to change everything, and second, not so much, and the first would be like not at all. So the big decisions, you'll be surprised, unless they are very high priority, like they needed an answer right now, I will not give them an answer until at least 3 hours later, or 4 hours later, or I would actually give the answer tomorrow. So the way I do this is that I get all the people, my team, my businesses, to send me emails. So when I receive the emails, the email itself acts like a to-do list for me. So what you're seeing is like emails that you have not read, so they are all like light color. And then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna unread them. If I'm going back to them later on. So the moment I've read them, it means I'm done. Okay. Or if I want to make sure that I'm reminded of this again, I use a software that is it's an add-on for Gmail. It's an add-on for Google Chrome. It's called Boomerang. I think it's by this company called Baden, if I'm not wrong. Boomerang is fantastic. It's really, I think it's worth this. For the dollar you're paying, it's worth more than Microsoft Office, right? Because what they can do is they can send an email later, which is great. Because sometimes when I make a decision, I feel like I want to solve the problem now, but I would choose to send an email later, maybe 3 hours from now or tomorrow morning. And if 2 hours later I felt like, oh man, I made the wrong decision, because I got time to process and time to think. And many times I will just go back and just cancel the email from being sent, and then resend it again and rewrite the email again. That's something that I do quite often. Another thing that I do very often is a boomerang the email, which means the email come back to me tomorrow. It's if I feel like that's something that I cannot solve now, or something that I felt like a problem that required too much of my emotional investment to actually solve it. A lot of times, because I don't want to make an emotional decision, I will not make a decision. I will actually boomerang it, which means the email will be resent to me tomorrow. So as they always say, if it's urgent enough, people will give you a call. Many times people don't give me a call. Many times people will just wait until I make a decision, which means we have time to deal with that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. Many times during this time period, I will actually have pockets of free times. During the pockets of free time, I would read, I will study other people's stuff, I will read books, I will watch videos, and lots of different things I do. Sometimes I just go and even go do a little bit of shopping, or just walk around and just really try to get my 10,000 steps in. If not, I would actually go and schedule meetings in. I don't do meetings in the morning. Very seldom do I do meetings in the morning, because morning is when I felt like my mind is the freshest, my mind is the most sharp, and I would not make any meetings happen on before lunch. So many times my meetings happen after lunch. Okay. I also do not try to meet people face to face or in person if I can. Unless it's where it's at a point of a meeting where we need to sign documents, we have to meet in person. Many times I try to get the meeting done on Zoom, on Skype. The reason is because of travel time. If I have to travel to a place to meet someone, and the meeting is too early, it's too preliminary, and people are just not ready to give me an answer right away, many times I don't do those meetings. I tell people to just give me a call, or do a conference call, or do a Zoom call, because I don't want to waste that 15-30 minutes travel time and then if you think about it, 30 minutes to go to that place and then 30 minutes to come back, that's an hour wasted. I don't like to waste time like that, because for that 30 minutes I'd rather be doing other things, like going to the gym, reading, things like that. So that's what I do, and I try to schedule lots of my meetings virtually if possible. And then the moment it hits about 4 p.m., 5 p.m., that's when I take a break. I believe that you need to take a mental break in your during your day, halfway through your day. So at 4 p.m., I often felt like my brain is not that sharp anymore. I felt like it's not perfect. So I would actually take a break. I will be again doing going out, just hanging about, just doing things that you would not expect, like a people that teach success would do, right? So once that's happened, I would actually go and get dinner, and then I'll come back and I will revise a few things. During this time again, I'll be reading if I have time. If I have work, I'll actually continue working until about 9-10 o'clock. That's when I go to bed. One thing that is really helpful for me, in my opinion, would be actually consuming supplements. It will really help you in terms of raising your energy for the day, but you need to know the timing of your supplements. For example, I take 3 fish oils, 3 capsules, fish oils per day, 1 in the morning, 1 during lunch, and 1 after dinner. It helps me with sharp thinking. Another thing that I take is obviously I take pre-workout in the morning, which is filled with caffeine. I also take espressos, shots of espresso with coffee, and those things really help me in the morning to be more alert, be more awake. And I sometimes during a really long day, I will take another shot of espresso around 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. So that's very rarely that I do that, but sometimes I do that, and that's most of the things that I do. Sometimes I take multivitamins, B12, things like that, but those are just like randomly around the time slots. I really believe that supplements can really assist you to have a better day, because sometimes you just can't help with those days where you have really low energy, like you just felt really laggy, you just felt like you just want to like lie on bed. Sometimes if your body's telling you that, 2 things that I do, if that day itself I don't have a lot of things to do, or the things that I have to do can be postponed, and my body just telling me that, oh, Desmond, you're just so tired, you're so exhausted, you just felt so sluggish and you can't really think at all. If I'm in that particular position, I will actually go and take a nap, like a 30 minutes nap, and the moment I wake up, I usually feel refreshed and ready again. I always felt like the reason why you're sluggish is because you're not getting good sleep and you're probably not eating good stuff, and for that, sometimes a 30-minute nap would actually cure that issue for me. But if I really have a really big day and I just can't be taking naps, what I do is I actually drink. Sometimes I drink caffeine drinks. Like what I do is I take this Optimum Nutrition Amino Energy. It's kind of like a pickup drink. It allows me to pick up and feel a little bit better for the rest of the day, for and just keep me pushing through. That's basically how I live my day, and I hope you guys get a lot of notes, a lot of tips out of this, because if you don't optimize your day, you're really wasting your life away. If you don't optimize your day, you don't really have a system to work well, and you're going to be wasting time. That's why a lot of people ask me, Desmond, how can you do so much in so little time? It's because every single 15 minutes of my time slot I optimize, and Sometimes I do slack, sometimes I do go a little bit sluggish, as I mentioned, but I think that's because we're human, and you have to allow that to happen, and you have to go and fix it. You have to know how to remedy it, and just don't let that be a habit. For me, my habit is going to the gym almost every single morning. I try to go to the gym every single day. In fact, I go to the gym currently about 6 times a week, even though I've been told that you don't need to go to the gym every single day. But I want to do it as part of my habit as well, right? Even though if I go to the gym, I do very little, I will just come back anyway. Like, I just want to make that trip so that it becomes a pattern, becomes a habit for me. I want you to build habit. I want you to think like what you do every single day actually is going to build a habit for yourself, a pattern for yourself. So what kind of habit and pattern do you want to build into your daily life? That's going to be very important. If you're one of those people that postpone things a lot, you're one of those people that nap 3-4 times a day and then not do anything, not feel productive, and you play video games all day long, that's going to be the habit that you're trying to build. So if you want to change the habit of yours, you got to make sure you overcome it by adding more great habits that you want to keep. Like, for example, spending 2 hours reading a day, spending an hour thinking about your marketing funnels, things like that. Okay, I hope this episode actually helps. I actually thought about doing this because today is actually one of my slow day, and it's one of my thinking day. Today is Sunday as I'm recording this. I literally just went out. I just spent 3-4 hours of thinking, and a lot of people don't see thinking as working because it's not something visually you see. But in my job or in what I do, thinking, it's about 80% of what I do, and I actually allocate time to thinking, and I think everybody should allocate time to thinking as well, at least in my opinion 30 minutes a day. Think about it, how can you allocate 30 minutes a day and just sit there with no distractions, just you and yourself, just you talking to yourself and thinking about problems that you have around you, problems that you have in your business, and how you can solve it. And I think when you figure out a solution to solve it, it's gonna often result in reward, okay, in the form of monetary, in the form of fulfillment, in the form of happiness. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you. Let me know if you enjoy it by giving me a like and subscribe on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening this from. And I hope to see you in the next episode.